Decode Dating, and this is where I went wrong. So, where I went wrong with a lot of things is I didn't take my time and vet. Vetting is very important because it helps you to realize if that person's compatible with you. You're checking their characteristics, you're checking their morals, you're seeing if their future goals align with you. Now, not everything has to be solely on sexual relationships. It can be for friendships also, but vetting is very important. So I'll give you a little short story of where I went wrong. So if y'all don't know, I was married, and before I got married, I did not take my time and vet this person, which became my wife. So before all of that, I was with my son's mother, and I didn't vet her neither, but we ended up breaking up. So about a month after this whole breakup, I was in a headspace where I didn't really want to deal with nobody. I just wanted to kind of be by myself. I was about 24 at the time, or give or take 23 and a half. And I was just wanting to be on a solo vibe, just by myself. And I ended up meeting another girl at the time, and within the first few hours of me meeting her, we ended up smashing. But what I noticed, and I'm glad that I took heed to that, is before we smashed, she kind of didn't want to use a protection. She didn't want to use a condom. She gave me like, oh, why are we using these? Or we don't need to use those. But I stayed smart in that situation, and I made sure I put on a rubber. That being said, a lot of men get carried away nowadays, and you got to understand, if you're vetting any woman, especially if it's short term, you still want to make sure certain actions that she does, you should notice if it's a red flag or not, and open your eyes to it. Because if she doesn't want to use a condom with you, how many other men is she going to do that with? You know, this same thing goes for women. If a man is not wanting to use protection with you, or not showing you his test results, that's a red flag, and you want to be very mindful of that. So that being said, we ended up smashing the first day we met, and that was already red flag number one. So within, you can say, a month time, she had went back to Atlanta, but she came back. I'm gonna give my full breakdown of my marriage, but this is just the topic I want to stay on. It's about vetting. So as she came back, she was in my mom's house, and everything was fine, everything was cool, and everything was going accordingly. But she ended up telling me, 4 months or 5 months into the relationship, that she cheated when she went back to Atlanta with her ex. See, now, a lot of men are in relationships where they know that the girl cheated. Maybe they found out, or the girl told them, but they're too afraid to leave because they feel like they invested so much, and that's the sunk cost fallacy. So I want men to pay attention that if you would have vetted in the beginning, you could have, detach yourself from that whole situation, because you wouldn't be so fully invested. You would have said, okay, I have boundaries, and this is not something that I like, and I'm not gonna accept this and deal with it. So when she told me, it was easier for her to confess, because she knew that emotionally I was invested more than she was. The family was knitted. I was, emotionally involved, and it was easier for her to do the little, oh, I'm being honest with you, so you shouldn't leave me because I'm telling you the truth. And I did stay, and that's why we ended up getting married later on, because, I was so naive to the fact of, hey, this woman disrespected you blatantly, and you stayed, because I did not vet. Vetting doesn't always have to be from an intimacy standpoint, as far as sexual relationships with the opposite sex. It could be with the same sex, as far as friendships. So what a lot of men should do, especially getting into a new friendship with another guy, you want to make sure you also vet. You want to make sure this person has similar interests as you. Both you guys are on the same page as far as what you guys want to do together, as far as going out, working out, and stuff like that, health-wise, finance-wise, even spiritual-wise. Some dudes are, in religious, different religious, you can say aspects of their life where some dudes might be Christian or Muslim, and those align with each other. Do I believe that somebody could be a different religion and be cool with somebody? Yeah, sure. You could like baseball and the other person like basketball more, but you just want to make sure that when you vet, this person is not gonna spread your business everywhere, try to shame you, jealous of you. If you have a wife or a girl, they're not gonna try to smash your girl or try to damage that relationship because they don't have one, you know, or even steal from you because you have more money than them. So make sure you vet friendship wise. This also goes for women. Some women are very catty. So if you're with a woman, you don't want to act as if you're the hot shit and belittle your friend, because now that's a red flag, and you want to say, hey, I see how she is and her actions are. I want to, you know, detach myself from this situation, because, you know, being in that relationship long term could damage you, you know, so you want to pay attention to that. So not vetting is bad for long-term relationships, whether it's friendships or a sexual relationship. So where I went wrong, like I said before, before I got married and stuff, I did not vet. She was a person who didn't deserve the type of guy I was at the time, because I was inexperienced, but at the same time I was very soft, you know. And I guess she seen that, and it was very easier for her to manipulate me and finesse and do what she did and just drain me of everything that I had and leave. But I can't solely blame her for everything, because I tell men, you control relationships. You have the key to relationships. A woman can't say yes if you don't give her the option. So same goal for women. The only thing you control is the sexual access from the man. The man can't have sex with you unless you accept it, unless you say, here, you can enter my body. So vet the man you decide to have sex with, because potentially laying with somebody in the bed, there's STDs involved, but the most important thing, 18 years of this person being by your side, because now you have a baby with them. The vetting goes for both men and women. I don't want this to just only be for one typical gender and saying, oh, well, I'm a woman, so I don't gotta vet. Yes, you do. Men have to vet and women have to vet. I would say the most important thing to look for is the person's characteristics, if that aligns with yours, morals, as far as what you guys believe in, right and wrong, future goals, if you guys decide to have a long-term relationship, where you want to live, what age you want to have a baby at, you know, different religions, just a whole bunch of things to keep the relationship together. A lot of people don't see a future with that person, but still decide to stay because it feels good, or we're in the moment. And I'll just say you're wasting your time, because you're just there with this person and nothing's coming out of it, you know, nothing to show for it. There's no return on your investment. So vet as best to your ability. I tell men, before you give the relationship title, you want to vet 6 months to a year. Sometimes you could be even longer. I'd say 6 months to a year in that time frame, because the longer you take to give the relationship to somebody, you can actually see how they act. A lot of people put on a front in the beginning and act like, oh yeah, I'm this innocent or I'm this kind, and then boom, within 3 months they start showing their ass off and disrespecting. And if you didn't vet in that time frame, you're in a relationship now where you feel like you can't leave, like I kind of was with my ex-wife, because she told me 6 months in, because she knew that emotionally I was invested and I didn't want to break that up. So if I would have took my time and vetted her, I would have never been in that relationship or marriage in the first place. After the whole her going back to Atlanta and cheating thing, I would have nipped it in the butt. So vetting can also help your standards and your preferences, because it won't make you deal with a lot of bullshit and baggage that you don't want to deal with. So I would say the most important thing for women now, because for men, I say 6 months to a year, it's the similar thing for a woman, but what you're looking for, if that man can provide for you long term. A lot of women will fall in love with potential of that man. And I'm not saying that's not okay. I'm just saying most men have a shot clock for women when they're in a relationship, because if the woman was supposed to be pregnant and the man can't financially provide for that woman, the woman would want to leave that man. And I believe she has every right to, because he's not doing his part as a man. A lot of women say, oh, a real man would, but a lot of women don't know what a real man is because they haven't been around real men. They just making up stuff and saying this is what a real man is. But I'm telling you, if a man is providing for you emotionally, physically, financially, and spiritually, if you're in that type of realm, then that you have a good man. You know, a trying man is a man that you would want. You know, not saying he has to be a multi-millionaire, but also watching if he's ambitious by nature and he's striving to get where he wants y'all to be long term. So for men and women, vetting is very important. I can't stress this enough. Everybody has different preferences when they're vetting somebody, but I'll just say those baseline things must be looked out for. You don't want to be in a relationship 2 years in and then wondering why this person is calling you a bitch. You vetted them, well, you ignored the signs, you didn't vet them, and what you allow is going to continue. I could tell you another story that before I've started vetting now, and how my life changed, benefiting from vetting, is before I allowed certain women, well, I would say most women that I interact with, to disrespect me. Now, disrespect could be subjective, but the objective truth about disrespect is basically making a man feel demasculated. So we could agree to disagree, but I'll just say solely, if a woman is calling a man a bitch or calling him out his name or weak or whatever, a man is allowing a woman to do that because he is weak. He's afraid to speak up for himself. At a point in time, I was like that. I would let a woman call me a bitch and I ignore it and laugh it off because I was afraid to leave, because I didn't feel as if I could do any better. Now, with this vetting process instilled in my brain right now, any woman who decides to disrespect me is getting cut off. And I tell men to definitely use this as, a lot of men struggle because sexually they don't get what they want from the woman, so they accept anything. Don't do that. You want a woman to respect you. You don't want a woman to come off as arrogant, disrespectful, loud, and treat you any type of way. If you're a man, stand up for yourself and say, hey, we're not doing that. Certain men have, chances they give. Me, it's one and done. You have one chance, you disrespect me, it's over. That's just how my lifestyle changed now, because I instilled the vetting process. 6 months to a year, like I said, the time frame is what you want to have as a man before you give the relationship title. So in that time frame, some men are different. Some men can take 2 years to actually be like, hey, you're my girl now. And this is before fiance or wife. That's just some men, because nowadays this generation don't have good intentions. So you want to take as much time as you can. And just like how you're vetting her, you're vetting anything else that happens in your life as far as friendships too. So you want to definitely take your time with everything that you're doing, because you don't want to look later in the future and wondering why your business is crumbling, or your mental is not intact, your health is down because you didn't take the time with this person. So when men are looking for women, I'm different. I tell any woman that I'm dealing with now that I'm looking for a genuine connection. It's a bland statement, but they can take it how they see fit. But I say a genuine connection with a feminine woman. Now, if a woman knows what femininity is, she's gonna stick to that and give me that exact thing that I'm asking for. And I'm not gonna tell her certain things like do's or don't. It's basically like, here's a rope, hang yourself. Now, if we have a conversation and we discuss my preferences, I don't mind stating what my preferences are, because now it gives her an understanding, hey, if this man is somebody that I see a future with, I'm not gonna do that because I know that's gonna turn him off. But this all comes from experience, and a lot of men don't have experience in dating. It's more so, I just want to fuck this girl and get it over with. I don't advise that. Like I said before with my ex-wife, the first time I met her, the same day we smashed, and I told myself I'm gonna use protection. She didn't want to, but I did. Now imagine if I would have got her pregnant, or just imagine if I would have caught an STD. That would have been solely my fault because I did not see the signs and ignore the signs if I did see the signs, which is horrible. But yeah, vetting helped me with my lifestyle now because it makes me see things for what they really are. I don't have hope. I don't say, hey, this person didn't mean that. I look at it, this person did that, and this is what it is. You know, if somebody's gonna be honest with their intentions, they're gonna show you honesty. Now I get this. Everybody has bad moments in life, and I know some things go off moments, but if you're vetting somebody and you decide, hey, I'm gonna give this another person a chance, that's fine. You can do that. Everybody's preference is different. Some people can give little leeways here and there. Me, not so much. It's more so you're growing, especially if you're in your 30s. You should know life already for certain things, and you should not treat people a certain way and expect them to be okay with it and everything is back to normal. It doesn't work like that. But vetting is the key to open many doors for relationships and friendships. So people want to honestly think before they act. Don't let your emotions overpower your thought process, and you really want to look in detail at people's actions. For long-term relationships or marriages, this is very important. Short-term is different. It's more just like, hey, I know you're not going to be here for a long time, so I'm just going to do whatever. But make sure you take vetting very seriously, especially if you're a person who wants a long-term relationship. I cannot stress this enough for men and women, because the dating market is messed up right now because a lot of people are not honest with their intentions. I can't blame men for being men, and I can't blame women for being women, but you can blame yourself for accepting things you do not like because you did not take your time and vet. So vet with good intentions, whether it's a relationship with a friend or a relationship, sexual, for a long-term marriage or partnership. Take my notes and please instill them and learn from my mistakes, because you don't want to be fooled and look back and like, damn, I should have listened better. And fix your own problems while you can, and don't continue with it, because insanity comes from a person who does the same thing over and over again expecting a different outcome. It's just not gonna happen. For me, I'm happy that things happened the way it did in my life, especially from my previous marriage and with my son's mother, because now it made me understand my value and what I could give to people, especially if it's a friendship or a relationship. So yes, please like, subscribe, share this video. If you have a friend who's going through relationship problems or want to get into a relationship, send them this video to make them understand that vetting can help them long term in a relationship. Well, not can, it will. It definitely will. Send this to a loved one who wants to get a new friendship going and they don't know where to start. Send this to them. And this will help you for anything that you have coming up in the future.